what is the problem about protein in our nutrition? Of course you need protein, because it's, so to say, the brick for building your building. And you need it, protein. But how much can you process? How much protein can you process per day? This is the question. And what kind of protein are you processing? The average protein intake of the Middle European and also in US is around 120 to 140 grams per day, which is a big amount. A human body, like mine, like yours probably, if you are not a real sportsman, they can process up to maximum 70 grams of protein. What is more is too much. You can't build more protein into your cell rebuilding as you have rebuilding of the cells. So you can bring to a builder, you can bring double the amount of bricks he can process per day. And more he will have in his backyard, he will have bricks, but he can't do more than building. And that's exactly what we do. We provide to our body, in average, too much protein. More than, we say, 45 grams. There are discussions, of course, I know, is it 45? But nobody talks about 130. There is discussion about, is it up to 75? No, but we do eat 132 was the last average calculation per day. So, what are you doing? Part of it you can build, like the good builder, you can make a beautiful house and you can build new cells. This is the part which you can utilize. But the part you can not utilize, which fall apart in your intestinal system, not only that they create a fermentation and they create wrong bacteria like coli or pathogenic coli or even parasites because they like the overproteinization just hanging around in your intestines, how ugly this is. And they like this because, and then it falls apart, it falls into, if you are happy, into amino acids. If you are a little bit less well digesting, then it falls into toxic proteins. It gives fermentation protein, it gives putrefaction protein in your intestines. So I can test your stool and I can say according to what bacteria come with your stool if you are a meat eater or not. And if the meat which you eat or if you are a dairy consumer or not, because we can see all these pathogenic bacteria. This is one thing. The other thing is that the proteins which fall apart, which get digested in the intestines, they fall apart to amino acids. The undercomponents of proteins are amino acids. Amino acids. And they are acid. And if they go into your body and they just hang around, not used for building your beautiful cells. No, just hanging around in the backyard of your organism, of your metabolism, then they work as acids and you get hyperacid. You get gluey in your tissue, you get gluey in your mind, you get gluey in your eyes, high eye pressure, only as a little example, but you also get these overproteinization, acidity structures, molecules you get into your arteries. Then you go to the so-called specialist and he says, oh, you have a narrowing of your arteries, you need a stent. No, you need to reduce your non-used proteins which hang around in your yard. well, in the picture of the builder. This is what you have to do. You have to reduce the protein amount so that you are less acid. Hyperacidity comes from sugar and from over-proteinization, and it makes joint pain, back pain, early degeneration, gluey mind. It makes eye problems, it makes hypertension, it makes diabetes, it makes many, many, many different civilizatory diseases. Civilizatory diseases. And you can see an absolute parallel between average protein intake of a population and the incidence, the number of diabetes, the number of coronary heart diseases, heart infarctions, high blood pressure, kidney issues, and so on, and even cancer. Because cancer loves this acidity situation, this metabolic situation of hyperacidity. So that's why it's so important. And look, we have our patients, they come either overweight, they come with all these civilizatory diseases, they come to us, they have seen so many specialists, and they take so many remedies. Why don't they get better? Because they do not reduce their protein intake, they do not reduce their sugar intake. And I get these patients, and their backyard is full of bricks in my picture of the builder. And they have to do work only to store these bricks in the background. They even have to produce higher blood pressure so that these arteries, they still are circulated enough. We can see in dark field microscopy, we can see if you are over-proteinized. It's an examination of 10 minutes we do with your live blood, and then we can see it. And our patients, they are over-proteinized and they are hyperacid, and that's why week 1 of the detoxification, as we call it, is described in my book. So we just reduce you to a normal amount of protein, and afterwards we go to the maintenance diet, which is around 45 to 60 grams. Well, if you are an athletic guy, if you run every day, then you can process 70, but you can never process 150 grams. This is not possible. You only make your tissue gluey. Protein in nutrition is problematic. Oh, doctor, can I survive when I'm vegetarian? Where do I get the protein from? We get asked every day. Yes, very easy, because these proteins which you have in plants, they are far good enough. How can a cow or another vegetarian animal, how can they build their muscles? They eat only grass and still they build up their muscles. Where do they get their protein from? Of course, out of the plants. It's easily possible. You get far enough. And you can read in every nutritional book where you get protein from in vegetarian food, in plants. It's absolutely not the issue that you get too little protein when you are not eating meat. Meat is not needed. And for all the patients who are civilizatory patients, they are far have civilizatory diseases, well, all these modern diseases, they should for several weeks just stay away from all dairy and animal protein.